5 minutes after 2. We'll call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Development Review Committee for the City of Oviedo, Florida. Today's date is Thursday, December the 18th. Let the record reflect that all members are present. First item of business is the approval of the minutes for the December 4th, 2014 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve.
Do we have a second? We have a motion by Mr. White and a second by Mr. Wyatt to approve the minutes of December 4th, 2014. Is there discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Next item of business is resolution number 2949-15, site development order number 438-14, preliminary subdivision plan for Emporia Hammock subdivision. Taylor Morrison of Florida, Inc. is the applicant. May we hear from staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request for the Development Review Committee to consider and make a recommendation for a preliminary subdivision plan of a 52-lot single-family residential development. The proposed subdivision is located on the north side of Panther Street and the east side of Lake Charm Drive. The total land area is approximately 38.31 acres. The proposed subdivision comprises 2 parcels. The owner of parcel number 032131300001200000 are the following: To May T and others. The owners of parcel number 032131300001300000 are the following: Din Dwan V and others. The applicant is Taylor Morrison of Florida, Incorporated. The applicant's consultant is Madden Moorhead Glunt Incorporated, Civil Engineers. The subject property was annexed into the city by ordinance number 1586. The annexation request comprised 38.31 acres and was adopted by City Council on August 4th, 2014. On the same date, the City Council adopted future land use and zoning map amendments pertaining to 38.31 acres of the Emporia Hammock recently annexed properties. The effective date of such ordinances is September 4th, 2014. The future land use designation of the subdivision is low-density residential, and its zoning district is residential R1. If you could please turn to page PSP1 in the plans to view the layout of the subdivision while I describe it. The subdivision will have 2 retention pond areas. Two retention pond areas and 2 recreation open space areas. The recreation areas will be located to the northwest and southeast in the subdivision. Lots number 51 and 52 are designated for model homes and sales office. The entrance to the development will include a brick wall entrance feature and landscaping. Interior landscaping will include a canopied street tree for every 50 feet of interior road right-of-way. All LDC required street trees along Lake Charm Drive and Panther Street are not able to be placed in the right-of-way due to overhead utility lines. These utility lines can be seen on the first survey page. Street trees are not able to be placed in the right-of-way on unimproved Hammock Lane as well due to existing vegetation. The required street trees have been placed internally to the site in accordance with LDC section 12.3B, number 3F. The applicant requests a waiver to the requirement for sidewalk construction or for payment into the sidewalk fund for the sidewalk along the property frontage bordering the west side of unimproved Hammock Lane right-of-way. The applicant requests the waiver because he deems the construction of the roadway on unimproved Hammock Lane unfeasible due to the existing wetlands and drainage ditch. Per the email correspondence between the city engineer and applicant, the city engineer supports the waiver. There is a 2.81 acre impact to the wetlands that shall be mitigated prior to site development plan final engineering. Site data number 33 on page PSP1 outlines that the applicant will provide mitigation requirements to demonstrate comprehensive plan compliance before final engineering approval. Concurrency transportation and environmental requirements have been satisfied. Potable water and sewer service will be provided by the City of Oviedo. Solid waste capacity is available through Seminole County. The applicant proposes the subdivision to be a gated community with private right-of-ways. The applicant also proposes to place a bus stop at the entrance to the subdivision for students to wait for school buses in a safe and sheltered site. Staff recommends that the DRC recommend approval of the Emporia Hammock preliminary subdivision plan, subject to the conditions contained within Site Development Order number 438-15. A Planning, Zone, and Appeals Board meeting is tentatively scheduled for January 13th, and a City Council meeting is scheduled for January 20th. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the staff?
I just have one question. When is PZA going to be scattered? Do you have already known?
January 13th, tentatively as of now.
And I would just suggest that you include the comment that you make on the position of Public Works as to the waiver, right?
Yep.
It was not in the memo, but for PZA.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions of the staff? Okay, I need to explore the whole request for waiver. And my concern is that our land development code doesn't provide for waiving things.
Right.
Okay? So, I mean, I'm glad that Bobby has been involved in this decision because I need to get some understanding from him as well. The Land Development Code states that the developer shall construct the sidewalks to the specifications set forth in the Engineering Standards Manual. In lieu of construction, a fee equal to the cost of constructing the sidewalk may be paid into the sidewalk fund upon review and approval by the city engineer. Now, one of the other things it also says is that sidewalks along a minimum shall be a minimum of 4 feet from, sidewalks shall be at least 5 feet in width along arterial and collector roads and 4 feet in width on all other streets. Now, my question is, I started looking at, okay, there's a request to waive. Now, obviously, the developer has an option. They can construct the sidewalk, or they can pay funds in lieu of into the sidewalk bank. Now, my understanding, this request is to do neither, construct the sidewalk or pay funds into the sidewalk
That was
fund.
not my intention
Okay,
on the waiver.
Okay.
Waiver is just not to construct,
okay,
pay the fee.
okay. So I started looking at, does this Hammock Lane qualify as a street? In a way to try to assist in doing this. And I looked at what we call a street. Any public thoroughfare, street, avenue, boulevard, or space more than 20 feet wide, which has been dedicated and deeded for vehicular use by the public, or which can be used for access by the fire department. Chief, I would dare say that you can't access anything through this right-of-way.
No, I love canoe.
So, of course, a local street is a street with land access as its primary function. In general, on-street parking is allowed and access is unlimited, subject to driveway spacing restrictions. So I wanted to get an understanding of where we're going with this. I don't think we can really call it a waiver. Okay. Now, I know the city attorney will say that city councils can do anything until somebody challenges them. But from the standpoint of our code not having something called a waiver, I think we need to figure out how do we do this. But you were saying your intention was pay funds in lieu of.
Yeah, I think it's justifiable there because no road exists.
Okay. All right. Okay. But as far as not constructing the sidewalk on Hammock Lane.
I still prefer the sidewalk be built wherever possible.
Right,
And we're doing that on Lake Charm and on Panther Street.
right, correct.
Even though we're really not developing along Panther Street, we've agreed to do that.
Okay.
So hopefully we can work something out, because I don't think there's ever any chance of this particular right-of-way being developed.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's my question is it that sidewalks would not be required because this does not meet our definition of a street?
How about a waiver of construction?
Is that something you can do within the engineering standards manual?
I think with any administrative code, I can do it.
Because, I mean, that's the one thing is that it says that, you know, it has to be built per the standards manual. The Land Development Code really doesn't give us a provision to waive other than you can build it or pay, you know, and they're asking, well,
If it is considered a street, right?
well, it says that, I'm
Yeah.
pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
You know, that it says that it'll be 4 feet in width on all other streets. You know, so I was looking for an angle. That's what I was looking for. So, I mean, is there something in the engineering standards manual that, I know you have certain abilities in the engineering standards manual.
Yeah, this is just simply allowing the payment of funds in lieu of the actual construction.
Okay, and that's along the Hammock Lane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, one of the things about it, Garrett, we need to address this in the site development order, because it's not addressed in there. Okay, so whatever we come up with, we need to address it. All right. That was my question. Can we hear from the applicant? I need your name and address.
David Stokes with Madmore and
I'm sorry?
David Stokes with Madmore and
Okay. Do you have anything you'd like to provide?
Certainly not.
Okay. All right. Do you have any questions for the applicant? Come on, make him say something.
Well, I will let you guys know, because I was there at the public hearings for the zoning, that we are prepared to discuss the drainage
Right.
and the large reduction in flow rate that we'll be having from this project, from existing condition out there. So,
Yeah, that's. I have a feeling that's going to be the primary discussion when we reach the boards. So. Okay. Is there any other discussion that needs to be had? All right. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. Our role in this is to make a recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to recommend approval of resolution number 2949-15.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second, do we need to say that the site development order will address the issue of the waiver?
We can have discussion now.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Tracy, you can start off. Actually, let me do this. Bob, do you have anything to discuss?
No, I would just say that if necessary, I'll make the amendment to add incorporation of the addressing the sidewalk construction issue within the site development order. If it's not to be constructed, then funds will be paid in lieu of for Hammock Lane on its west side.
Okay, so the motioner is amended to state that the site development order shall include language addressing the request to pay funds in lieu of, for the construction of sidewalk along Hammock Lane, the western right-of-way of Hammock Lane. Am I saying that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Brian, am I allowed to talk again?
In a minute. Okay. Mr. Moorhead, would you like to make a statement?
I would. My understanding, Bobby, was that we were talking about a way, not a fee in lieu of on that. It was some type of way to not build that sidewalk. Those are the rears of lots. They have access from the front. I don't remember the name of the street that's to the east. I can't believe that there would ever be any reason to construct that road. I think that that's a, and I don't want to say, I guess it's an unfair request that my client would pay for that, due to the fact that, the lots that, they're basically would create double frontage lots by building that road. It's a 40-foot right-of-way, actually north of our property, and next down, it appears to go down to at least 30 feet, if not 20 feet.
All I can suggest is that we would have to explore the code to see if the code will allow something like that. I mean, I understand your point of view on it. I just don't know how the code allows me to actually waive the sidewalk completely. I mean, I understand your point of view. I get it. The chances of a right-of-way there are minimal. When we can't foresee the future, who knows? But still, the code doesn't allow me just to wave a wand and say, no, you don't have to build it.
Okay.
And you don't have lots that would face Hamlet Lane?
There's an existing, that's where this whole side of the city's drainage flows through that area. And that's my whole point with it.
You know what, Chad, I need to explore if there's any other examples like that on other developments, see if there's precedence for it.
We'll look, and I'll also, we'll go double check, and maybe that thing's been vacated.
Well, that was the thing. I mean, that was. I know I was playing with words, but it says that we'll put sidewalks on the street.
It's not a street; it's a paper right.
Yeah. Does this qualify as a street? Yeah, and that's why I was looking at the definition of a street. Does it qualify as a local street? There's a lot of things that could be argued that because of the wetland system, because, the only development part back here is the pond.
And that's also the edge of the
Right.
rural area. That's the rural boundary.
Does it provide access to anything?
No, you can't go down.
So, that's the thing is that, but like I said, the way our code is written, I even went back and looked at the authorities under the city council. And the way our code is written, you either do one of two things. You either build the sidewalk or you pay funds in lieu of. That's the two choices. There isn't a third choice unless there's something in the engineering standards manual that we could fall back on.
Okay.
And so that's when I started looking at, okay, is this a street? Because if we can prove it's not a street, then there's no requirement. Do you follow that logic?
Right, and
Yeah,
I have an idea of how to
Okay.
so,
explore.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk about it.
but,
We'll look into it. Let's put it that way.
Thank
I'm not going to throw it out.
so, but anyway, whatever goes to council, we need to address it, whether it is Hammock Lane is not considered a street, that needs to go into the site development one, because there's got to be a record of why we made a decision, whatever that decision is. Right now, at best, until we have something like that, at best, the best that this board can do is recommend approval with payment in lieu of. That's the best we can do. But if something comes up before we get to the council meeting, then obviously, that we can make sure that gets presented to the council. So, okay. All right. Is there any other discussion? All right. I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None. Motion passes unanimously.
Yeah. Can I give you some?
No, I'm not moving.
All right. Next item of business is ordinance number 1613. It is a comprehensive plan amendment. The applicant is MI Homes of Orlando, LLC. Can we hear from staff, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request to amend the city's comprehensive plan, future land use map, to change the future land use designation of approximately 6.41 acres from rural to low density. The subject property is located on the north side of CR 419, east and adjacent to Willingham Road. The applicant is MI Homes of Orlando, LLC, and the consultant is Madden Moore Incorporated. Comprehensive Plan Policy 1-1.14 requires the city to evaluate criteria when considering a comprehensive plan amendment request. Results of this review can be found in the supporting data analysis report. The subject amendment qualifies as a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment. Per Chapter 163, Florida statutes, a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment requires one public hearing before the Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board and one adoption hearing before the City Council. Upon adoption, a copy of the amendment will be provided to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. The subject amendment will become effective 31 days after adoption, provided that the DEO does not review the amendment and/or no one files an appeal with the State Division of Administrative Hearings. The property consists of one single parcel with a total of 0.14 acres, which is the parent tract. The property currently has two future land use designations: low-density residential on its eastern side, which is 9.73 acres, and rural on the subject property, which is 6.41 acres on its western section. The purpose of the comprehensive plan amendment is to designate the 6.41 acre subject property with the low-density residential future land use designation, consistent with the eastern 9.73 acre property already designated with the low-density residential future land use. The entire property will be developed as a 48-lot single-family subdivision named Enclave at Sanctuary. On October 4, 2004, the City Council adopted Resolution Number 962-04, approving a special exception use order number 178-04 to allow religious use to be located within an agricultural zoning district. This special exception use order was issued to Covenant Presbyterian Church of Oviedo. On January 5, 2009, the City Council adopted ordinance number 1448 and 1449, a respective comprehensive plan amendment and zoning map amendment, amending the future land use of the east 9.73 acre property from rural to commercial future land use designation and from agricultural to commercial C1 zoning district. The west 6.41 acre property remained for the church use with rural future land use designation agricultural zoning district. On May 18, 2009, City Council adopted Resolution Number 1983-09, a non-statutory development agreement and associated master land use plan for the entire parcel proposed for the Covenant Presbyterian mixed-use site. The non-statutory development agreement authorized the development of an 11,368 square foot sanctuary building, a fellowship hall with up to 4,600 square feet, and one residence on the west 6.49 acres. It also authorized the development of 4 commercial buildings totaling 48,900 square feet. Later, a 2-year extension of the non-statutory development agreement and associated master land use plan was approved on February 20th, 2012, with the adoption of Resolution Number 2472-12. On August 5th, 2013, City Council adopted Ordinance Number 1568 and 1569, a respective comprehensive plan amendment and zoning amendment from commercial to low-density residential future land use, and from commercial C-1 to residential R-1BB. Zoning district, which is the zoning district for the east 9.73 acre property. On August 5th, 2013, City Council also approved the resolution number 2660-13, an amended and restated non-statutory development agreement, and the associated amended master land use plan. The east 9.73 acre property was approved for the development of 31 single-family residential units, The western tract remained for church use, and the future land use remained rural. The applicant requests a future land use map amendment from rural to low-density residential and a zoning map amendment from agricultural A to residential R-1 BV for the 6.41 acre property, consistent with the east 9.73 acres, to allow the development to have one future land use designation in one zoning district. The applicant intends to develop 16 single-family homes on the subject property to be combined with the eastern section for 48-lot, single-family residential subdivision called the Enclave, a sanctuary. The maximum utilization allowed under the proposed low-density residential future land use designation with a maximum density of 3.5 dwelling units per acre will result in 16 dwelling units. The proposed low-density residential is compatible with the adjacent FLU designation, zoning districts, and existing use. That concludes my presentation. Planning and Zoning Appeals Board will consider the future land use map at its Tuesday, January 13th, 2015 public meeting. It is recommended that Development Review Committee recommend adoption of ordinance number 1613. That includes my presentation for ordinance number 1613. Staff is here to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
I only have one, I think it's a correction, because it should be 47 lots, right? 31 plus
Yeah, 16.
16, so we should correct the report to show 47 lots.
No, the number is actually correct. A portion of a lot on the eastern section is going to be combined with a portion of a lot on the western section to create one additional lot. So it's a total of 48 lots. Under the comprehensive plan
We should
amendment.
explain here, because it says 16 plus 31.
Yeah, under the comprehensive plan
So-
amendment, the maximum that they can get on this lot is 16, only because there is an area that is designated Econ-Lacache River Protection Zone, which is about 1.67 acres, I believe.
It's 1.6.
So the combination of the acreage would give
The
an
combination
additional
of both
lot.
sides will allow for one additional lot, minus the 1.67
So
acres.
somewhere in the memo, we should
Okay,
say
we
that.
can explain
so
that.
Yeah.
Brianna's looking like I don't get it. Do you understand it?
Not yet, no.
Chad, you'll have to show it on the.
Yeah, and I don't have my exhibit with me. I actually did an exhibit for Deborah to
Because we
explain.
went around and around and around on this very issue.
I think it's probably,
Basically, Brian, what happens now is phase one, the property line comes and kind of angles this way. And so you have a portion of the lot that was in the phase one, and you have a portion of the lot that's in the phase two. I have an exhibit that separates it and does it because,
Okay.
yeah, it took us a while.
Yeah, we.
But essentially, there's 16 point something units allowed in
And-
phase two, and
and
there's
31
31 point something in phase one. And when you add the
When you add the
remainder,
decimals.
yeah, exactly.
The decimals give you the extra.
it only has to be reflected in the
Okay.
memo so that we understand.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so any other questions for the staff?
What is the size lots?
Have you submitted the PSP?
Yeah.
You have? Okay.
Yeah, the master land use plan is in, and they are 50 by 115 minimum. So the same as phase one. Which is a little bit larger. I think a 5,000 lot, 5,000 square foot lot is the minimum required in R1BD. So we're a little bit more than, I think,
5,000.
5,750, I believe, is what we have.
Any other questions? All right, we state in the supporting data inventory analysis that 1.67 acres is within the Econ-Lacache protection zone. Why is this not being set aside as conservation, consistent with what we did in Sanctuary and Live Oak and Oviedo Forest and River Oak Reserve? Why is this one not being set aside as conservation?
It can be designated with the conservation future land use designation. It is up to the applicant. If the applicant wishes to designate it as conservation, they can. Or if the board wishes to make a recommendation that it be designated with the conservation future land use, the board can do that as well. It cannot be developed within the econ protection. Econ Lockhatchee protection only allows one dwelling unit per 10 acres, and they don't have a 10 acres, so it can't be developed for anything else. So it's up to the board and the applicant.
Why didn't the staff recommend it?
We had that conversation, and I'm so sorry, it's been a while ago, I don't remember the details of the conversation. Chad, do you remember how?
On the master land use plan, it's actually called out as Area G, and we do have it called out as conservation. So,
So it can be designated with the conservation future
Okay,
land use
I was just
designation.
curious as to staff's rationale for not.
We had that discussion, and I don't remember if we looked at the master land use plan and saw that was conservation. I'm not sure. But it's not going to be developed. It can't be developed by state statute and by, not state statute, but by our comprehensive plan.
Okay.
It seemed like it would afford to take a little heat off of the project from neighboring communities and each step of the process.
yeah, we don't have a problem with it being conservation.
All right. So any other questions for staff? Would the applicant like to make any remarks?
No, other than this is just a continuation of phase one, adding the lots phase two, same, pretty much development program, all the things that were ironed out in phase one.
Chad, will you give your name and address, please?
Yeah, Chad Moorhead, Madden Moorhead and Glunt, 431 East Horatio Avenue, Maitland.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
I would just have to raise one issue. That I think it's a good moment to reach out to the community, the neighboring community sanctuary, before going to the boards,
Okay.
where we'll have the public hearings.
We will do everything I can to make that happen.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? All right. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to recommend approval of ordinance 1613.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I would like to see us include assurances that that section is designated as conservation.
Let me, do you want to recommend that it be designated conservation future land use?
Yes.
Okay. Motioner, would you accept an amendment to your motion to designate the area within the Econ Lockhatchee Protection Zone as conservation?
Yes, how much is the area? I think the discussion that we had before was the,
It's post-development typically. But I think they have identified the area right on the,
It's 1.67 acres.
Yeah, the master plan did.
1.6.
I think you referenced it as section G. Is
Yes,
that
we call it
reflected
as
in-
Area G on the master land use plan, but I don't believe this master land use plan is going with this, right? So,
No,
no,
it's not.
no. So you would want to designate the 1.67 acre parcel as conservation, future land use designation.
Would the seconder be willing to? Okay. All right. So our motion, as friendly amended, is to recommend adoption with the designation of the area, the 1.67 acres within the Econ Lockhatchee Protection Area with the Conservation Future Land Use designation. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Okay, next item of business is ordinance number 1614, zoning map amendment for the same property. MI Homes of Orlando LLC is the applicant. May we hear from staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This ordinance number 1614 is a companion to ordinance number 1613, and this is a request to amend the city's official zoning map to change the zoning district approximately 6.41 acres from agricultural A to residential R-1BB, and the owners are the same as the previous previous ordinance and also the consultant as well. The property consists of one single parcel with a total of 16.14 acres, which is the parent tract. The property currently has 2 future land use designations and 2 zoning districts, low-density residential, future land use designation, and residential R-1BB zoning district on its eastern section. In rural, future land use designation and agricultural, which is the subject property, which is 6.41 acres, that's the zoning district, is agriculture on its western side. The purpose of this zoning map amendment is to designate the western section, which is the 6.41 acres of the subject property with a residential R-1BB zoning district, consistent with the proposed LDR future land use designation and with the eastern section of the total property. The entire property will be developed as a 48-lot single-family subdivision named Enclave at Sanctuary. And the same history goes for this ordinance as it does for ordinance number 1613. The applicant requests a change of zoning from agricultural A to residential R-1B for the 6.41 acre property consistent with the east 9.7 acre to allow the development to have one zoning district. The applicant intends to develop 16 single-family homes on the subject property to be combined with eastern section for a 48-lot single-family residential subdivision named the Enclave at Sanctuary. The proposed change of zoning is compatible with the proposed future land use designations surrounding zoning districts and existing uses. The Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board will consider ordinance number 1614 at its Tuesday, January 13, 2015 meeting. It is recommended that the Development Review Committee recommend ordinance number 1614 at its Tuesday, January 13, 2015 meeting. So, excuse me. It is recommended that you all, today's meeting, that you all recommend approval of ordinance 1614. That concludes my presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns.
Do we have any questions for the staff? Hearing none, does the applicant wish to make any statements?
No. I need to put my name on the record again. Chad Moorhead, Madden Moorhead and Glunt, 431 East Horatio Avenue. I have nothing extra to add what we have previously discussed.
Do we have any questions for the applicant? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to recommend approval of ordinance number 1614.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Wyatt and a second by Mr. White to recommend adoption. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. All right. No discussion items for today. Future meeting dates are Thursday, January the 15th, Thursday, January 29th, Thursday, February 5th, all at 2 p.m. in these chambers. It is 2:45. We will stand adjourned.